Welcome back. We'll get to open access in a minute, and before we do that, we'll talk about education and a particular incentive or stimulus that is redirecting a lot of the structures that we are quite used to, and how this particular new initiative is adding value to it in a very phenomenal and transformative way. Now, community engagement in education is widely recognized as a vital force in the effort to remove barriers to achieving quality education for all, especially for vulnerable groups across communities in Nigeria. While educational support tools are usually provided for these communities by sometimes the government and most of the time by non-governmental organizations and faith-based organizations, what becomes disturbing is the failure to sustain and continue some of these projects. Now we're asking the question about the best way to stimulate and sustain some of this interest, especially as human capacity development is concerned here in Nigeria. We're pleased to have in the studio with us Engineer Bello Tongo, an educationist and someone who's very passionate about the project he's currently undertaking. Good morning. Welcome to Cyber Breakfast Show.
Good morning.
Nice to be here this morning.
Right. So, first and foremost, tell us about your motivation for why you're doing what you're doing right now.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many Nigerians who could say, well, first of all, he's an engineer, so he could calmly just make his money in peace and stay out of the mess that is the education sector.
Yes.
What's your motivation for doing this?
Yes, my motivation is basically when I went to the UK to study my civil engineering degree, thinking this was what Nigeria needed. I'll come back and just start building.
Building roads.
Yeah, so when I came back, I realized this wasn't, or the issues or what Nigeria really needed was beyond just construction. There were enough civil engineers, enough people in construction, but not just in my own story, but also my peers and many other youths, the story of many other youths is that we're facing high unemployment, meaning companies or organizations were not hiring. So what do you do? And then number two, we're facing high unemployability, meaning there are jobs, but you don't have
people
money
for the
to
jobs.
sell yourself to the employer. Number three, on the employment. So you have the job, but you are not happy. You want to leave, you want to go and do something, but you don't know how to leave. And then number four, high over dependence on government for our socioeconomic needs. These were the four things that I saw, and I was like, this is a bigger issue to face. So even while I was going through my 5 year of practice in the field, civil engineering, construction, I'd already started, I enrolled and started doing a PGD, postgraduate diploma in education. So through the National Open University, that was my beginning, my start of transition into education. Then after that, I did a Master of Arts in Education. That was online also, so that I can still be working. But most importantly, I worked in a school, so a private primary school, and then a secondary school, and then an education consulting company, so that I learned about curriculum design, how to train teachers. So it was all
about lessons.
years.
There are so many people watching the program right now and say, what is wrong with him?
Yes, I know.
I mean, why would you go for this stress-filled area?
Yes,
I mean, very noble, very rewarding, I believe individually, but explain the drive, because I believe you're mission-driven to want to go this extra mile to contribute to the development of your society.
Exactly. So when I started doing my research to know how exactly what can be done about the education space, I realized I used like 6 years of research while I was still working to realize that actually we have to put entrepreneurial thinking at the heart of education, because I feel the reason why these issues of employment are existing is because education is not achieving its true purpose.
Right.
And we live in a socio-economic world, and so constantly, whether you're at home, at work, in government, you'll constantly be challenged socially and economically. So unless the education system really helps you to survive and thrive in this socio-economic world, then it has not achieved its true purpose. And from what I have realized, if you put entrepreneurial thinking at the heart of education, whether you're going through starting a business or even getting a job, there is that something.
You're saying that whatever we've been doing so far, because I believe entrepreneurial education has been introduced some time ago in our tertiary institutions, even in our secondary schools. What is your take on what we've been doing so far, and why it may not have been, the right type of, input?
This is a very good question you asked. So if you notice, I said entrepreneurial education, not entrepreneurship education.
Right.
What we've been doing is entrepreneurship education, which is why you see the TVET schools and all this advocacy for technical, professional skills and all that. That is only trying to push people to go and set up business, and even the businesses are usually blue collar type of businesses. But when with entrepreneurial education, it's basically academics. So you are learning your maths, your science, your engineering, and all that, but with transferable business or enterprise skills involved in it, so that regardless of where you find yourself, whether you want to be an engineer, a doctor, or you want to go the vocational route of cake or whatever it is, you have those transferable enterprise skills.
You know, this seems to look like a new course entirely for some people that didn't actually go through some of these processes. While some that were in it couldn't manage it well, but they didn't pay attention to the interest in which this will come from.
Exactly.
What's the level of acceptance and also the kind of feedback that you've been receiving after some of the basic trainings you do in the community?
Yes, it's been kind of positive and negative. You can imagine, of course, when we approach at the federal and even at some certain state levels, the public education system, because that's where we want to actually work more. Because there's more impact there, there's more students, there's more teachers.
You can scale it up.
Yes, so
much larger.
Yes, so impact-wise, result-wise, we would like to have it more there, but that is the level where we're seeing a bit of skepticism and be like, many times they even asking me like, where did you...
Just call it resistance.
Yes,
I know that's what it is.
Yes,
they don't like change.
They
They don't accept it easily.
Yes, and unfortunately, which is also the other pain, the other aspect that pains me is that they're asking, okay, which white man or whoever brought this or whatever. I'm like, no, we created this ourselves. And which is the other thing, the unfortunate thing we're doing in this country, even the education system, is that we're adopting different curriculums, curricula and things that aid the socioeconomic needs of other countries, of other countries, of other locations.
It's not homegrown.
Not for our own needs. And this is why, unfortunately, as I said, our own problems are not solved through the education system. I really believe through the education, every problem that we have can be solved.
With this big idea of yours that you've come with, and a lot of people will just feel like, you know what, it's just probably people that have passion driven that they keen into what you're doing because they know the interest at the end of the day. But what's the partnership like with the government?
Yes.
And also the synergy you put in place with community leaders to make sure that this turn out well?
Yes. Yeah. So as far as the government side of things, whether federal or state, we've had the most traction or acceptance by the Gombe state government, which is one of the locations where we have also our campus we're trying to set up. So they have given us the most acceptance, and they haven't done that through their teachers that exist right now in their public schools, but also through the state university. So students that are studying education within the Faculty of Education in the state university are also being pushed to adopt this way of teaching or this way of education, this way of curriculum design. So we've had the most attention from there. At the federal level, we're speaking with the Federal Ministry of Education, but also TRCM and the NERDC, that's the body that is in charge of curriculum design. So at that level, they are accepting, but they are still,
There's still a bit,
yes.
Yeah, resist.
Yes.
I mean, it will take some time, but
Definitely.
what is your vision for this? Because I believe as committed as you are,
Yes.
you understand what the outlook would look like if everything goes according to plan. What would it look like? I mean, having pointed out the employment crisis, unemployment crisis that we're faced with, the employability issue, the underemployment issue. If we get this right, if we inject this properly, if it's implemented right, there's a lot of ifs in that statement, by the way. What would it look like?
Yeah, well, what this would look like is that you will go typically to a primary or secondary or university, polytechnic or post-tertiary, in fact, and what you will see happening there is that people are learning mathematics, but entrepreneurial mathematics. So it's the academic side of mathematics, but with a business angle to it. You are learning English in the same way, entrepreneurial English, entrepreneurial arts, entrepreneurial science and technology. At the tertiary level, you are learning entrepreneurial engineering, entrepreneurial medicine, entrepreneurial pharmacy. This is what we hope to achieve. But for that to happen, the curriculum also needs to be worked on or integrated. The teachers, their training also needs to be tinkered a bit. Yes, and the students learning also, the materials and everything that they learn needs to also be adjusted.
And what sort of shift explain the shift in terms of what you're going to get in the classroom, for instance, and how that is going to transform your thinking.
Yes. So on the curriculum side of things, and also on the teaching and the assessment side, what we are putting or what we are practicing even in our company is something called project-based learning. So you can imagine projects that are linked to industry, like you imagine you being a consultant to another media outlet, or even to Gotel. So we create scenarios, business-linked scenarios, and we link all the subjects to it. So that project,
it's like you're tailor-made for this particular industry.
Exactly. So that project becomes your end goal. So you may still sit exams or tests linked to it, but the main thing that you'll be assessing is that by the end of the term or session, you come and present to your assembly or to all the other students this project that you have created. But there needs to be maths in it, there needs to be science in it, there needs to be arts, technology, and all the other things that we learn, so that this becomes, in fact, the learning even becomes more
exciting,
more enjoyable, and more in tune.
We've seen how beautiful programs like this come on board, but the sustainability is one that is so worrisome, because some specific people are designed not to feel like they feel depressed when things like this doesn't work out for them. Especially when they are putting in their effort and trying, making sure this work, and the level of acceptance seems not to really work for them. But you see, at the end of the day, it's thrown into the shuffle with all the efforts and plans put in it. Tell us about the sustainability plan, how you intend to do this work.
Yes, so the way we exist as an organization, we have different other arms that make sure that this effort is supported. So we have, for instance, an investment arm of the company. So what this does is that all these ideas of projects and businesses that students are working in, whether they are our own students or the students of public schools, we are ready with investment into those ideas that they're into. So this is not just an issue of scale, but it's also an issue of incentive, so that they know that there's an outcome at the end of it. Aside from that, these business ideas or enterprise ideas that they're creating or working on academically also need platforms. So that's why we have a media arm too, to make sure that there's right publication to everything that they have created. That ensures not just sustainability, but also the scale of sort of output in terms of the platform or what they have to create. So that's why I say it's not just in terms of scale, but also incentive-wise. And as we are also, I told you of the campus we are trying to set up also in Gombe. This is going to be like a model for it, but as I said, for our own, the end goal is that every school in the country should operate in this way. And if they don't want to do it, then of course our own effort will be enough, but
this
it will take time for
This surely feels like a game changer. I mean, in so many aspects, right? And you look at the state of things in the education sector in Nigeria, it's much to be desired, doesn't it? When you talk about scaling it, when you talk about application at basic level, secondary level, tertiary level, for a lot of people, it makes a lot of sense to have a holistic, a wholesome approach to this. But how do you see your input being more impactful in terms of your ability to scale things up significantly? I know about the project you're doing in Gobe, for instance. That is one part, of many parts. And I know you would love to have a much more national, eventually, hopefully. Give me a sense of how you intend to scale things up to a much larger, audience.
Yes. So for that, we're doing it in two ways. So the first way is our existence. So aside from the campus in Gombe, we exist in Abuja, and now we're about to open an outlet in Lagos. So that was the first approach, trying to make sure that we have locations, physical locations in those outlets, especially the campus model that we have. Number two is just like what we're doing now. We don't have a campus here in Lola, but I'm here. And I'm trying to engage with the public school system, but also the private school systems that exist here. I was just in Yobe a few days ago. That's number two. Number three, we are now about to work from now till the end of the year. We are trying to create some sort of like a digital type of platform, where there are no boundaries, no borders or anything, so that access becomes easier. So in terms of scale, we don't have to be in your location. So it's almost like a cloud-based school or institution for not just the teachers but also the students, and in fact every other school that exists, they can tie into that digitally, of course, and as in the cloud space, and they can have access to that. And we're trying to make sure that access is there, not just in terms of ease of cost or payment or anything like that, but also in terms of.
Do you have a name for this project?
For the cloud
Yeah,
one?
for everything you're doing right now.
Yes, Tongston. It's called Tongston.
Oh, Tongston.
Yeah.
Tell me about that name.
Yeah, that's good. My surname, of course.
Yeah, right.
There's a very hard rare mineral ore in chemistry. It's called
Right.
tungsten.
Yeah, right.
If you learn the periodic table in
Yeah.
secondary school, you know
Oh,
this.
I
No, we memorize the
unfortunately
periodic
didn't have to do that.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
science students, we had to memorize the periodic table. So there's something called tungsten. It's a very hard alloy type of mineral ore, and it's red, black in color. So I took that and I merged it with my surname Tongo. So that became Tongston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good one. And as I was talking just now,
Yeah.
one thing came to my mind. Khan Academy offers you a lot of a variety of things,
Yeah.
and I feel like this is going to revolutionize the way we see things. And
Yes.
I can't wait for us to discuss this and more. In the weeks and months to come, because I do believe this is a game changer that has come our way. Thank you so much for all the good work that you're doing, and hope to see you very soon.
Engineer very
Yeah, engineer. Very good.
Thank you. I'll definitely come to you
Yeah.
and speak more about
Yeah.
the engineer turned education.
Yeah.
So,
Which is a very big shift.
Exactly.
Really appreciate you, and
Yes.
wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming. All right, and of course, Sandpaper Official returns in a minute. Feel free to stay with us. We'll be back after this. This is very, very interesting. How are you?
Yeah.
Open access.
I'm going back tomorrow. I'm going to Gombe tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Lovely.
yes, like 2 days ago.
Is that open access?
Nairobi.
When next you're back, please just let me know.
Yeah.